For the further development of the world's shipping industry, Chinese companies spent $300 billion to win the Canal Century project, but why was it blocked by the United States? Today, let's take a look at the Nicaragua Canal, a century-old project in the history of the canal. Okay, let's get started. After entering the 21st century, the trade, communication and transportation of countries all over the world have become more frequent. Compared with road, railway, or air transportation, the biggest advantage of sea transportation is that it has a large volume and lower transportation costs. According to relevant data, at present, 85% to 90% of the goods in the world are transported by sea. The Panama Canal and the Suez Canal, that everyone is more familiar with, are the most famous sea canal projects in the world today. The Panama Canal is a canal built by the United States, connecting the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Through the Panama Canal, freighters can avoid detouring the South American continent. The Suez Canal was jointly dug by Britain and France, connecting the Mediterranean Sea and the Indian Ocean. However, with the rapid increase in freight volume, the waterways of the two canals are relatively narrow, which can no longer meet the transportation needs of large or super-large freighters. So many freighters can only detour, but the transportation cycle has to increase accordingly. So whether it is for the world or Nicaragua, a larger canal route is needed to meet the increasing shipping demand. In fact, the Nicaragua Canal has been preparing for construction for nearly 200 years, but it has not been completed. What is the reason? Let's first look at the situation in the country of Nicaragua. Nicaragua is located in the middle of Central America, bordering the Caribbean Sea in the east and the Pacific Ocean in the west. It is one of the poorest countries in the world. They all rely on the traditional import and export of agricultural and animal husbandry products to obtain income. The level of its industry is quite backward, and its economic development is also very slow. The Suez Canal can bring Egypt nearly $4.8 billion in revenue every year, accounting for more than 2% of Egypt's annual GDP. The Panama Canal has made Panama one of the wealthiest countries in Central America in just 10 years. Therefore, Nicaragua also wants to rely on its superior geographical location to dig a canal to improve its country's economic situation. It is estimated that after the canal is completed, it can generate an annual revenue of at least $5.5 billion and bring nearly 200,000 jobs to local people during the construction of the canal. Even after the opening of the canal, Nicaragua may become one of the wealthiest countries in Central America. In the 19th century, someone had already proposed the idea of building a canal in Nicaragua. The designers who participated in the design of the canal at that time had made relevant calculations. If it is to transport goods from New York to Japan, because large cargo ships cannot pass through the Panama Canal and Suez Canal, the total length of the detour will exceed 24,000 kilometers, and it will take 36 days. But if the Nicaragua Canal is opened, the route time can be shortened by 11 days, and the route distance can also be shortened by 17,000 kilometers. So in 1883, the construction of the Nicaragua Canal began initially. At that time, people liked to find gold, and huge gold resources were discovered in California, so it was necessary to open waterways to transport gold. Therefore, the United States and Nicaragua hit it off when each had their own needs, and the first Nicaragua Canal was awarded to the United States, and a cooperation agreement was formally signed in 1884. However, after the American personnel conducted on-site surveys in Nicaragua, they gave up their cooperation and turned to excavating the Panama Canal. Therefore, the first Nicaragua Canal excavation plan was shelved. After that, many countries wanted to undertake this project, but none of them reached an agreement on excavation. After that, Russia sent a letter of intent for this project. At that time, the two countries held a summit meeting and signed an agreement to jointly build the Nicaragua Canal. At that time, the project's estimated capital was $20 billion, and the construction period was expected to be 12 years. However, after Russia arrived for on-site exploration, it was found that the $20 billion funds were not enough. In addition, the construction was quite difficult, and there was no benefit at all, so Russia gave up the plan. After that, several countries came to negotiate and wanted to take over the canal, but they all gave up in the end. So, is it really that difficult to dig a canal in Nicaragua? First of all, Nicaragua's geographical location is very special. Volcanoes and earthquakes often occur continuously. The United States gave up because of the hidden dangers of volcanoes in this area. In addition, Lake Nicaragua is very important to the production and life of local residents, and the local people's irrigation and domestic water come from here. And in this area of Nicaragua, the local biological resources are also very rich, and there are some quite rare species that are only found here, and there are a large number of coral reefs in the Caribbean Sea connected to the canal. Besides, the Sea Anemone Marine Reserve here it has also been included in the World Heritage List by the United Nations. Finally, there is the problem of investment in the project. As a poor country, Nicaragua can hardly bear such a large investment, and the construction of the canal will also affect the farmland and residents of the people along the line, and the corresponding relocation compensation problem is also a large amount. Therefore, under the circumstance of harsh environment and geographical location and huge investment, the Nicaragua Canal has become a project that no one dares to undertake. However, Nicaragua had to build a canal for better development. In the end, Nicaragua found a Chinese infrastructure company team and raised the project quotation. In the end, the HKND Group, owned by Chinese businessman Wang Jing, established the Nicaragua Grand Canal Development Company in Hong Kong to undertake the construction of the canal and obtain the right to operate it for 100 years. After Chinese infrastructure companies successfully obtained the right to undertake the construction, a British media stated that the project will be one of the largest infrastructure projects in the world. In addition, the project is expected to be completed in 2020, but it has not been completed so far. Why? This is because, when preparing to start construction, China was obstructed by various external forces. The United States believes that if Chinese private companies are allowed to build the Nicaragua Canal and obtain the right to operate it for 100 years, this may pose a threat to the interests of the United States in shipping. As we said just now, the Panama Canal was excavated and built by the United States, and it also enjoys certain operating rights. The Nicaragua Canal and the Panama Canal under construction are the same as those in Central America. If the Nicaragua Canal is completed, it will inevitably cause fierce competition, and the Panama Canal's monopoly position in Central America's shipping will be affected. Besides, influenced by public opinion, many environmentalists boycotted the project one after another and held demonstrations in the local area. The project was suspended in 2018 due to the unstable political and economic situation in Nicaragua. However, with the resumption of diplomatic relations between China and Nepal, the normalization of diplomatic relations and the continuous deepening of economic Nicaragua, the project may be put on the agenda again. Do you think so? Well, thanks for listening. If you have any suggestions, just leave them in the comments section. We'll come back as soon as possible and check them, and then we'll give feedback. See you next time.